Chad, at half time it looked like you knew how to play the ground and play the opponent, so why did it fall away so quickly?
Yeah, I don't think it was a factor of the actual ground. Kenny went through the actual dimensions right before the game to get in the boys' head that the ground isn't too dissimilar to other grounds we play on. With just the way we played the game, the contest wasn't up to scratch. They were a lot harder, tougher around the ball. We lost too many battles all over the ground, particularly forward of the ball, and it kept bouncing out of there, far too easily, which makes any game really hard to defend. So, trying to defend a team like that on that oval with the crowd behind them when your contest isn't where it needs to be makes the game really hard to get back in your favour.
Does it become a one-off issue or something you need to address pretty clearly for the next game?
Well, it's always a focus for us, the contest. I think every team realises if your contest isn't where it needs to be, you're not going to give yourself a chance to win. So it's not a one-off. We focus on it weekly. We'll heighten the awareness of that today during meetings and practice it really hard during the week.
So what do you do at selection, because you seem to have a few more options now?
Well, just walking across the ground there and had a quick chat to Riley Bonner. He was moving really well. He's put his hand up early in the week for selection. Trent McKenzie was running with him and is moving well, but probably see him after the bye. I was down in Loxton yesterday and there were some really strong performances there. I'm really impressed to see the guys that travelled to Geelong, came back, travelled to Loxton Sunday morning and all played really significant roles in that game. So that was a nice bonus to see that on the Sunday after the disappointment of the Saturday. So there'll be guys that have put it in their hands up this week. So we'll have to wait and see because it's a longer week. We won't select the team till Wednesday, maybe even Thursday. So
the two interesting ones are Dixon and Fantasia. Could you confidently pick them for AFL action this week?
I was watching Charlie closely yesterday. He was moving a lot better than he had, the previous Magpies game. I'm pretty confident he'll play. Orazio, not as confident. He just pulled up a little bit sore from training throughout the week. Nothing to do with his previous injury. So I would anticipate he would have to go back and play some time in the Magpies now. I'm not sure we'd be able to pick him confidently just with the amount of time he's missed now.
Would that be this week for Orazio? Do you feel like the quad issue is a relatively minor one?
Yeah, I think it is. Again, he was running out there at the moment, moving well. So as far as I know, there's nothing serious. It just didn't pull up the way he would have needed it to play an AFL game. But again, nothing serious.
Are you just ultra cautious with Raz now, given how many setbacks he's had?
Yeah, he's had a big history, hasn't he? He's so important to us. Love the way he plays. Just can't find that consistency with his body. So I think the cautious approach is the good way to go at this stage of the season, of where he's at with his injury history. We've got a great medical team, so just put the trust in them and see how the week progresses.
How frustrating for him, I guess, like he was up a couple of weeks ago and then seemingly was going to be in Geelong as well, then couldn't play sample. Must be frustrating to constantly be set back.
Yeah, I'm sure it is for him, but he's one of those guys that no matter what's happening in his life, in his footy life, he's always up and about. He's a great teammate. He has a really good attitude and he trains hard no matter what's happening. So he sets the right examples. And deep down, I'm sure he's hating missing this amount of footy that he's missed over the last couple of years and throughout his whole football career, but you wouldn't know it by the way he conducts himself, which is a real positive.
Can you possibly play the full tours if Charlie comes in?
I'm not sure. I think it's going to be really wet. From Wednesday, the week looks very wet, so I'm not sure you can play 4 tools if there's going to be 15 mils, and I think it's also meant to be pretty windy as well on Sunday. So that'll make things tough, but again, selection's not till later in the week, so we'll wait and see.
What do you feel like it might come down to separate, some of those 4 tools?
Yeah, I think the 3 guys that have been playing over the last month have played really well until the weekend. Some of the contests that we mentioned before wasn't up to AFL level, and they're aware of that. They put their hand up and admitted that. It wasn't just one of them. I think as a collective, it wasn't where it needed to be. So again, we're going through those reviews today. We'll see what the players have got to say about them and go forward from there.
Chad, you haven't been behind the count on win-losses for 7 years at the halfway mark of the season. So you feel you need to actually address this issue of what your win-loss count is, otherwise the season's going to get away from you.
Yeah, that was what was a little disappointing about the weekend. There was such an importance placed on that game to get things back on the ledger. A great test down there against a really strong opponent. And everything was leading in the right direction. Not only the way we played, the way we trained, the boys' attitude, the way they were learning during the week. So I thought at half-time we were in a great position to get what we needed out of that game. So the drop-off from there in terms of the contest was disappointing and something we do need to get right if we're going to go anywhere this year.
I guess, how have you how have your thought on Aaliyah and Tom Cleary respond? I guess after the kind of after the Bulldogs game where you kind of said you said you were disappointed with their performance. How do you feel like they've responded?
I thought Close was outstanding against a really quality opponent in Hawkins on the weekend. He had great support from TJ and Aaliyah in particular, but for Close to hold his own against such a big body, crafty forward in Hawkins was a real positive for him. And I think all in all, Close's return to the team from his injury has been a real positive. That game you're talking about wasn't at the level that he wants to play at. He was open and admitted that as well. And I think Aaliyah over the last couple of weeks is really finding the form that we saw from him last year.
How'd TJ go coming out of ISO straight onto a plane and then playing?
Yeah, he was really impressive, I thought. Didn't miss a beat in terms of his aerobic capacity, ability to see out the game, and he really led the way with his contests, both in the air and some of his contests I was just watching on the ground, and one in particular, v Hawkins. I just love it when he sets a tone like that. We know how tough he is and what a great leader he is. The boys do feed off that, so I was pretty impressed with his return.
Jersma begging to be picked after that performance yesterday.
Yeah, he's another one that was really impressive to go to Geelong, as I touched on before, the 3-hour drive to Loxton and then play the way he did. But he wasn't alone in that. I thought all the guys really put their hand up yesterday and played some really good team footy up there in Loxton. So that was a great day for the club. But X in particular, he's put his hand up for selection after a performance like that, that's for sure.
What's the areas that the coaches have wanted to see for improvement from him in?
From X?
Yeah,
just consistency in his game. He's been a bit up and down in terms of injury availability, and just his own personal form. So he's another one that has a really good attitude. He wants to be a great player. He's heading in that direction, so it's just about him finding some consistency in his form.
Sam Skinner, concussion from yesterday, is that?
Yeah, he got a little head knock. It was the other end of the ground from where I was standing. He didn't look like he was walking off all that well, but I just watched the tackle back before. Didn't look like there was a whole lot in it, so I'll catch up with Skins later and check in on him, but not exactly sure how he's pulled up yet.